I believe we should start official part. People are joining us. So I'll make official announcements that tonight we will be cooking Polish Mazurek, traditional dessert, and Beata will tell us more about it. With Beata Gessel-Kalinowska Kalisz. She's a founding and I would say named partner in a law firm, Gessel. It's not coincidence that she has the same last name as the name of the law firm where she is a senior partner. She's also honorary president of Lewiatan Court of Arbitration, and we will talk later about arbitration in Poland, and ICC court member representing Poland in International Chamber of Commerce Court of Arbitration. And as I said, tonight we will be cooking Mazurek. We sent to our participants in advance the list of the products which were, oh, wait a second, which are needed to prepare it. So I'm sure you have it.
So this is my traditional best. You like it?
That's very nice. Is it handmade? Okay. Good.
Yes, it is handmade. It is. It has here, you know, the name. It's very individual, and this is done. Okay. So this is done for the individual person, and also they are very special. These decorations, and some time ago that was to be very typical for every village here in Podhale, because we are in the mountains now. In Tatra Mountains, nearby Zakopane, but not in Zakopane itself. So all of these colors and decorations, they are typical for every village here. So my is like this. I don't know that this is very, very typical to my village, but it's very beautiful. I like it very much. Oh. And what is important, that all these traditional dresses, it is very unusual, that all these traditional dresses, they are worn by the people here as a regular dress. Not everyday one, but when they go to the church on Sunday or on all of the holidays, they wear it. And this is not treated as a disguise, but this is like the regular, when we have a suit, when there is an official occasion, they have this kind of wearing, and it is survived only here. I don't recall in any other part of Poland that such a traditional dress still, you know, is survived as a regular dress.
The same true with regard to oscypki?
Oscypki is our traditional here Highlanders cheese made of beef milk, not beef, sorry, lamb milk, and they are registered as a special regional product in European Union. What made people put into trouble, because everyone had their own recipe for making this oscypki, this cheese. And it is a smoked cheese, like small pieces or big pieces. And this cheese, when it was registered, right now it must follow the specific recipe. So you cannot have like cheese, like any cheese, you know. So that's why right now oscypki in many places, they're not named oscypki because this is the registered trademark. Oh, my husband helps me. It looks, this is a kind of oscypek. This is oscypek, actually. And so right now, people started to name them scypek or otherwise, but not oscypek, so that they don't break, you know, the recipe, which is a registered recipe right now.
And so you said somebody registered it as intellectual property?
Yes, it is. You know, there is the list of registered regional products, which is kept by some offices of European Union. For example, you know, this Italian cheeses like ricotta, mozzarella, they are also registered. Champagne is only typical. It's a registered trademark for the brand for the champagne from Champagne. So Sovietskoye Igristoye does not work in this case. And so this is this kind of thing. So it helps, you know, to protect, you know, the product, original product. But on the other hand, you see in practice, it also may cause problems for the local citizens.
Beata, just wait a second. Tell us about Mazurek. Why you decided to prepare Mazurek tonight?
Okay, our discussion around this event, fantastic, I must say, event. I have never seen something like this, arbitration kitchen. So I was proposed by you, basically, to prepare the bigos, which is a typical dish for Poland, which is made of sauerkraut, different kinds of meat, sausages, and other ingredients. This is the dish which was derived from the hunter's environment, and usually it was done after the hunting was finished, when there was a different kind of meat available. But in order to make the classic version of bigos, you will have to involve me for at least a month, because in order to have a good bigos, you are cooking this day by day and day by day. And then you come in.
Sorry for interrupting you. Don't get people lost and confused. We're not cooking bigos tonight. We are cooking Mazurek, right? Tell us why Mazurek.
Well, I think you do not really appreciate our viewers. You know, that was kind of introduction why I refused to make bigos today. So I thought that we can do something what we can do in a regular on a regular basis during 1 hour, and I hope it will be tasty. So Mazurek. Mazurek is a typical pastry which is done for Easter. And as I said, because we were talking about this around Easter, I have made this and I really enjoy it, and especially my sons who are not very eager to eat pastries. And Mazurek is a very easy, really, to be done, because there is a basement which is made of like a shortbread. This is this kind of pastry, and then it is covered with different kinds of things. I have decided to go for chocolate Mazurek because I got a very good chocolate during Christmas time, and I thought that how to use it, because I really don't drink chocolate. This is, you know, this is the chocolate what I got, and I found that it's very tasty, so I have to use it. This is why I decided to make Mazurek czekoladowy. It means chocolate Mazurek. How to do it?
Beata, we have a question from Shai Sharvit. Can I use sugar instead of sugar powder?
Well, yes, you can, but then, you know, it is much better to make, you know, the pastry when you have a sugar powder. But if you don't have the sugar powder, you can use the regular sugar. So this is, I don't think this is, I've never tried, but I think this is not a big issue. Okay, hello Shai, by the way.
Yes, okay, so how you are cooking this Mazurek?
Okay, so I start with the pastry. I take the bowl.
Yes.
I put flour. I've already done it. I have here flour. Then I put everything what was on the list. First, there was a batter. I said batter, so I take the knife and I make, you know, I slice it into pieces, and then I add to my flour. Then I have this powdered sugar, and as we said, we can try also with the regular sugar. Then I have egg yolks. I put it as well here. And cream. I used to have, we call it a sour cream, it's not a sweet cream. This is like the cream which you add to the soups and so on, and I add like big spoon to this, okay? And this is the cream, which is 18% of fat. And basically this is it. I mix everything together in this bowl, yes. At the beginning with the knife, and then after I use a hand. So I do it, you know, with hands until I will make everything is well fixed together. So there is one pastry. when I have it, I take the bowl, cover with something, and put this, I go to the fridge. And I have to put this pastry first to the fridge. In the fridge, this pastry stays for about half an hour or an hour, okay? So that it is a little bit cooled down.
Beata, I've got a question from Lilia Kalachenko. Whether this sour cream something similar to Russian smetana?
Да, совершенно верно. Это сметана.
Окей. Пожалуйста, could
Очень хорошо.
Who not speak Russian? Beata said yes, it's like Russian smetana. Okay.
So I take this bowl and I will put this, when I finish, I put this to the fridge. For our purposes, I have, in order not to wait for an hour.
1 second, you put to the fridge for how long?
30 minutes minimum. It can stay longer, but not shorter. 30 minutes to 1 hour.
You put on a regular fridge, not the part of the fridge where you have,
No, not the freezer. I do not freeze it. I cool it down.
You cool it down. So you put it for half an hour to the freezer, and then you start preparing what?
Then I go and make myself beautiful, yes? I come back then, when I am beautiful enough, I come back and I take this from the freezer. I take my dish in which I will bake it. And this is it. You remember the picture which was on the invitation? This is a similar one. So I take this pastry which I got from the fridge. I put it into this plate, generally with fingers, you know. But the thing is to make a little bit higher pastry at the round, at the circle around this dish, okay? Because
so you need a special form.
I can have such a form, I can have rectangular form, it doesn't really matter. I just have like this. But it can be any form, which is not very high here.
Again, Lilia Kalachenko is asking, is it the way how it looks after freezing?
No, I took it out from the freezer, which is like from the bowl. Then I put it here, and I started to make like this. Okay.
Okay.
So make it flat, and I put this Rand, as we say, probably in German, up, because afterwards I will put here this chocolate. So melt it. So that's why I must have something like a pot. Okay.
Okay. Good.
So when I have it, it's very good if I will take a fork, excuse me. For some reasons, it is advised everywhere that this pastry is much better when you make these holes with your, let's say, fork. I do it with the fork, but then it is better cooked. Oh, you see? I'm doing holes.
Yes, I see.
When you buy a shortbread, for example, you know, in England, you know, you will see also that some of these cookies, they have such little tiny holes. So I take it. I have here my oven. So I put this into the oven.
At what temperature?
180. 180 to 100.
For how
yes.
long?
Then I take a pan. I took a pan.
Wait a second, Beata. For how long you put it in the oven?
I will be here. It will be in the oven for about 20 minutes. I will be checking whether it is okay. You must check it in order to see whether this is like a little bit golden, you know, so that it is dry. You know, old fashioned chefs, they have such a, you know, stick, and they check whether, you know, this is not wet inside, you know, the pastry. So I will check, but I will be checking that. And if I don't remember, please remind me. Go and check that whether your pastry has not been overcooked. Okay.
Okay.
So it is in the oven. We have this in the oven, and now we start making our icing, this chocolate. Okay, so I will turn on right now my cook And okay. And what do I take? It's quite easy. I take sugar. I put it here. I will
not sugar powder, but regular sugar.
Regular sugar. Try this time is regular sugar.
Okay.
So, and now I have the different cream, which is 30%. This is sweet. Usually it is used for the whipped cream. So I put everything here. And from your perspective, it will start the most interesting part, because I will not do anything save from, you know, melting and melting and melting. Okay, so I put my cream, and then I will keep it not to be overheated. So I will be melting this. Now my function is to melt, and we can talk.
Okay.
I will be melting this from.
Okay, I understand that it will take for a while. Yes, Beata, we start before webinar to talk about a situation with COVID-19. I've got a question. The cream should it be a real stuffing or like spread? This cream.
Spread? Spread cream? No, real. Yeah, it should be real.
Should be real. Okay. Okay. We started to talk about situation with COVID-19 in Poland, and I understand that you're on isolation in your summer house, or how you call your house in mountain.
It's my second house, I would say, because I am normally from Warsaw. I was born in Warsaw, but I like very much mountains. So first I was hiking and climbing and, you know, walking around. And then at some point of time, we have decided with my husband to buy a property here. So we bought a property, we bought a piece of land, and we have hired an architect who was a bit crazy, I must say. And he designed the house, which is, I must say that nobody starts really, you know, without no impression. So it's a combination of Gaudi style and the Highlander style. And I would say that he also added some inspiration from the Star Wars. What is fantastic about this house, that this is made all from the wood. It's a wooden house. And, you know, in general, it resembles, you know, the traditional Highlander style here. Very nice, very comfortable. We love it very much.
Yeah, Beata, can you see the photo I'm displaying on the screen? Yeah, tell us, because it looks like a church. Is it a roof on your house or is it church? What is it?
this is. I think that your combination is very good. You know, because when it started to be built and to finish, you know, people thought that there is something like a mystery church, and this is the part of it, the part of the roof. This is a small tower on the side of the building, and this is below this thing is my room in which I work. So I have the view from my office space, as you see here, you know, for all of the mountains, for all of the chain of Tatra mountains. So I have shared this photo so that everybody can see in what circumstances we are cooking this Mazurek. So this is not just, you know, cooking, but cooking in a fantastic, you know, environment.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely astonishing view. And what is this, Beata?
And this is white and black, yeah, black and white. So you have seen it, you know, during the day. And this is a part of the surrounding of the house, how it looks when there is, you know, at the end of the day. You can't see really the mountains because the mountains are more to the left, you know. But this is something like 100 meters from my house.
Okay.
So these are these plants, you know, which are like a small pine, little pine trees, like bushes more, and this is very popular here. It is all over the mountains, you know, these plants.
So I understand that mountain is one of your hobbies.
Yes.
For how long you are doing it?
Sorry?
For how long you are doing it?
I started pretty late, I must say, because, you know, I did not really come to the mountains. I was rather, for many years, I was rather yachting, you know, the Mazurian lakes. And then at a certain point of time, I think I was, that was about 30 years ago, or 25, I came first time to Tatra Mountains and I got in love. I must say, simply in love. And I didn't want to leave this space. And since that moment, I was coming to the mountains every week, every weekend. And I started to hike, then to climb. So it was more and more complicated and more developed. So I was doing more and more difficult trails. And so until now it stayed. It means in my heart, you know, that mountains is something what I really love. To hike, well, I do not climb anymore, but hiking is still something what I do with great pleasure.
And this photo was taken where?
This photo is taken in Alps. I was in, I think it was 1996, and I was hiking and climbing basically to Mont Blanc. And we started to go up. We were at the level of 4,000 meters, and we started to go up to the top at 2 o'clock in the morning. And this picture was taken when the sun started to shine and something started to be visible. And I am in the middle of this hiking to the top.
And I would assume that it is extremely cold there.
Well, it was September, so yes, because that was this ice. We were at the Iceland, so it was quite cold, but not so much as it could be during winter. Because, as you know, at night it was much lower temperature. During the day it was much nicer.
Okay,
Yes.
and this photo is taken where?
It is the photo taken from the top, from Mont Blanc. This is the highest mountain I have achieved in my life.
My understanding is that you are shot from a left, right?
Well, ask people, try to guess, you know, where I am.
Well, it's difficult to guess. Well, first of all, we have to exclude all male participants. So we'll have
male?
Yeah, and if you look into female participants, there's no big choice, frankly.
How many female participants you see?
Sorry?
How many female participants you see on this picture?
I think 3.
You see, there were 2.
2? Sorry, I didn't want to offend anyone. Okay, so I understand that the one.
That I am, you know, the third from the left. You know,
third from the left. Okay, so I'm still doing this exercise. How often you go to mountain? Well,
I do it very often. Less right now in the winter, rather in summer, and I do not go out so much outside of Poland, but in here, in the Tatra Mountains, when I'm here, I'm hiking pretty often, you know, mainly during weekends, and during summer, I stay here at least for a month. And then I am trying to find still new trails for hiking. So this is fantastic. And I have friends here with whom I used to hike. So this is like also social exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand that in addition to mountain, you are also...
Remind me.
Sorry?
You were supposed to remind me to check on my pastry.
No, it's too early because you said for 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, but you have to check in between, you know.
Okay, so 10 minutes passed. Did you check it? Is it good?
Yes, Yes, it is almost done, but it still will need this 5 minutes.
Okay. So in addition to Martin, I understand that you're also in love with modern art.
Yes, that's true. This is my second love. If you are not talking about that.
Tell us what you do.
Well, I realized when I was recently that it is 20 years when I first started to think about, you know, how to support and how to be involved more in the modern art. Oh, this picture, what you have shown, this is one of my sculptures, which is situated in the surrounding of my house. So there are squirrels, and there's a squirrel in the middle, and the rabbits on the sides, and they are staring at the mountains, and they are just, you know, in the meadows. And this is one of the sculptures which is in my, which is here, you know, in the, I don't say it is not a garden, it is like a meadow around, you know, the house. So I started to be involved in modern art. First, I think it was a prediction because my sister, since she was very young, she always wanted to be a curator and a historian of art, an art critic, and we were very much involved in modern art at that time. And she really, you know, became an art critic. I think she's right now one of the 5 best art critics in Poland. So, you know, this is continued. And that was 20 years ago. It was in Zachęta. There's a National Gallery. I saw the exhibition of the artist Włodzimierz Zakrzewski, and together with my sister. And look at this. That was well 20 years ago. So it was very early stage of development of Poland, and you know the old measures how to assist artists were exploited and finished because, you know, the communists stopped, finished, and there was no new instruments how to help artists and how to also help the galleries, in order to, you know, to keep, you know, these pieces of art in Poland. We had really outstanding artists, and all of their pictures, they were bought and transferred outside. One of the best examples was Sasnal, who was very cheap that time. You know, his pictures was at the level of 10,000 zlotys, which was about 2,000 euro, let's say. And right now they achieve the prices of 200,000 euro. So at that exhibition, my sister, who was that time, she was working for the National Museum in Warsaw. She told me that museum has no money to buy the pictures, and these pictures of Zakrzewski, who was that time, he came from New York and he was quite well known there also, that she would love to buy at least one piece, you know, for the National Museum, but she has no money for that. And, you know, there is no budget. The budget was only for plumbers, you know, cleaners and so on, and not for the artists. So then I have decided that I have to do something with this. And I have created my foundation, which is the Gessel Foundation for the National Museum in Warsaw. And we started to buy pictures to survive these pictures, to keep them in Poland. And at the moment, the number of these pictures, this is around 50. So there's not only pictures, because they're generally objects, artistic objects, which were purchased. And you know, when I'm talking to my colleagues from venture capital, I said that I made 20 times money, you know. When we were buying these pictures at the beginning, right now the value of them is about 20 or even 30 right now times money invested. So I'm very proud of it, absolutely. And at certain point of time, we have found that, you know, the prices for the pictures, they are so high right now. So thanks God, because that was also our aim, you know, to make people, you know, more to have artists to earn money on their pictures. So, but the prices went very high, and then we started to look how otherwise we can, you know, help and to participate in this situation. And then we started to work with the National Gallery Zachęta, which is in Warsaw. And we created a special fund for the young art critics, because we found that this group of people right now is really, you know, in need, because, you know, artists are right now more appreciated, but art critics, especially young ones, they are really struggling for life. So we made this fund, and, you know, and we are every year there is a competition for the PhD and dissertation, and for the also master's degree dissertation. And we are, there is a group of this jury composed of well-known professors in history of art, and we are awarding young, outstanding art critics, you know, candidates for their work. So this is how we are doing our participation in the life of the artistic life of Poland. But privately, I'm very big fan, you know, of modern art, and I collect from time to time. I'm not maybe a collector, because the collector is someone who is making collection without taking regarding, you know, how to display it really, you know, because he wants to have it. So I started buying pictures for the walls when my walls were finished. So this is why I started to buy sculptures for the medals around my house.
Yeah.
And I think this is the time for me to take Mazurek, to take this pastry. Okay, it looks like this.
Okay.
Okay, it is cooked. Now I will leave it for a while here, and I will be melting more my chocolate topping. Okay, it's almost done.
Yeah, Beata, just the last question about modern art before we move to more serious stuff. I don't know whether you've seen Arbitration Kitchen with Alexei Moore, the president of ICC Court of Arbitration.
No, this is in front of me still. I was watching with Catherine, yes.
Yeah.
I was the Dutch asparagus, which I
with Jackie, yes.
Okay.
Alexei Moore actually doing some modern stuff work. If you look into video, you'll find out that he's making pretty nice and unusual sculptures. I don't know how installation, I don't know how you call it. So your foundation would be interested in supporting Alexei Moore, not as arbitration practitioner, but as an artist. I'm sure that he will be delighted, because I asked him during kitchen whether he was trying to sell his, pieces of art, and he said nobody is going to buy it. So whatever price you propose, you'll be the first one who will buy it. Try.
Okay, very good point. Next time when I see him, you know, I will ask him about that. Okay.
Tell us about cream. How it goes? This milk with sugar.
Can you see it? You know, I just evaporate a bit so that it is more you know, fatty. You know, so I have to evaporate a little bit, and I will be doing this for quite a moment, and then I will add chocolate, but I think it will take me another 5 to 10 minutes. Okay.
Then I'll ask you more questions about you know, more serious stuff. I'd like to talk about
serious.
Sorry.
This Roberts, that was very serious.
Serious, yes. I have more questions about rabbits, but I'll do it next time. I want to talk to you about arbitration in Central and Eastern Europe, because you are well-known arbitration practitioner, not only in Poland, but I believe in other countries as well. And we've spent a lot of time with you discussing what's going on with arbitration. And the first chart I want to show you, this is statistics of Czech arbitration court at the Chamber of Czech Republic and Agrarian Chamber, which provides for combined number of international domestic cases. And you'll see there is a serious decrease of cases from 2018 to 2019, from 3,000, and then it went to much lower number, 700 to 800. We also have some statistics for a Russian Chamber of Commerce and a Polish Chamber of Commerce. Again, Polish Chamber of Commerce is this red line. You see that in 1996 there were 750 cases. Again, my guess is that this combination of domestic and international cases. In 2010, there were 440 cases, and it dropped to 120 cases in 2019. Do you have an idea why the number of arbitration at traditional institutions is declining?
You know, this is something what is in the focus of many people, and I think that there is no good answer for that. And you know, I would say that from historical point of view, when we started like 25 years ago, arbitration was very popular. And when you see these numbers, which are, you know, at the top, the 750, you know, this is which year? 1996. That was the top. That was the top of the, I think, of the number of cases, you know, of the cases which were approached in the court. Then, you know, it started to decrease, and you know, it was supposed to be, it could be counted for the some ethical problems. People found that they do not agree with the way how these things were handled, you know, in the arbitration court on one hand, also on the from the perspective of how archaic was this structural organization. It was really archaic, and you know, there were some voices, but not too many, truly speaking, to change the situation and to make it more modern. I must say that this time, what is on your graph, you know, this 96, 2000, Poland was really not on the. There was a number of cases domestic, but Poland was really not, as I say, on the map of international arbitration. It was none, you know. I remember when I was organizing my first conference, which was 12 years ago, the measures which concerns the mergers and acquisitions disputes in arbitration. I really had to make a tremendous job in order to invite speakers for this conference. I wanted to make it, you know, international, so truly international. And I must say that also I had very big problems inside in Poland because nobody really believed that such an event can be organized. Here I must give credit to Arbitra Women, who was very helpful at that point of time. And then, you know, we started to be more and more open for like international standards, modern standards. However, it did not impact really the number of cases. As you see here, you know, 15 years ago, Lewiatan Court of Arbitration was established, and that was established on the wave of this the lack of confidence, you know, in the then current arbitration structures. And it started a new, you know, the new institution, but you cannot, it did not take, you know, the cases from the other, that is my observation, the cases from the old court, that was generated, we as Lewiatan, I was that time vice president and after president, so we were looking for completely new areas in order to generate and to enhance interest in arbitration. But as you see in this slide, you know, it really did not help. However, I must say that the level of arbitration is really right now modern and trustful. It really can be trusted. You know, these numbers are not going up. There is maybe another observation, what I see from my perspective right now as the arbitrator, that I have a feeling that the volume, the amount of the dispute, the value of the dispute is increasing. So maybe this is something, I think that this 750 cases, majority of them, they were like a small, very small value of the dispute. And right now, this is maybe bigger value of the dispute, but the lesser number of the cases. I really cannot really explain the situation because I think that right now the arbitration proceedings, in general, of course, I don't say about everybody, but you know, in general, the arbitration proceedings are quite fast. They are efficient, quite efficient. Of course, everybody will, you know, have their own view, but comparing with the past, I think that they're much more efficient. It does not really have the resemblance, you know, in the numbers. So maybe you tell me, Vladimir, why is it?
Well, I'll probably tell you next time, but we are more interested now in your view. And again, coming back to Polish Chamber of Commerce, if you look into statistics, proportion between domestic and international cases, you see that major part of cases domestic and international cases, number of international cases is declining. So Polish Chamber of Commerce had 100 cases, international cases in 2010, and only 16 cases in 2016. And if you compare it, for example, with ICC statistics involving Polish parties, I don't have for the same years, but I took the last 5 years, you'll see there's a growing trend. Number of international cases submitted to International Chamber of Commerce involving Polish arbitrators. And we also seen that number of cases that ICC is growing. So what does it say to you?
Yeah, but if you can, you know, come back to this previous slide, which shows how many cases was, you see how many cases was like in 2010, 100. You know, green is the international cases. Yes, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
So you have 167, and how it translates into ICC now? We are talking about 9 cases. You know, less than 20. So you cannot say that. Say that these cases went away to ICC. I cannot say that they went away to LCIA, for example, because I think that LCIA is not very common venue. I cannot say that they went away to any other venue, to another institution. So I think that
where has this cases gone? To state courts?
I think to state courts. It means most of them, well, maybe with more or less, you know, now. Maybe we are much more, you know, in amicable situation. But this does not only apply to Poland, as you have shown, you know, the statistics for Czech, you know, this is the same situation. And as I talk with other people from other, you know, EEC countries, you know, the number of cases goes down, simply. So, so I think that people, maybe, you know, the situation is that, you know, in our situation, Poland, our courts started to be much more efficient than they were in 2000, for example. Now it is going probably, you know, to the worse, but simply speaking, you know, our courts started to be more efficient. On the other hand, they were not so expensive in bigger cases than it was in case of, well, not even in bigger cases. I would say in cases which are in the range between 1 million and 4 million zlotys, I would say. So like up to €1 million in translating into foreign currency. So I would say that, you know, in this range of cases, and this is the biggest chunk of cases, I would say, it is, you know, the state courts are cheaper. And, you know, when you are coming to the no, sorry, I'm wrong. Between up to 1 million, the arbitration is competitive. Above 1 million, the state courts are competitive because they have this upper limit of court fees, which is 100,000 zlotys, which is 25,000 euros. So this, you know, state courts are much more competitive, but on the other hand, you know, they cannot, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many practitioners, they cannot really offer such a specialized service as arbitrators who are involved practically in these sectors of business life. Yeah? Judges are not business persons by definition.
Yes, but from other side, you are saying about traditional institutions which operated in a pretty old-fashioned way. So maybe because some people were disappointed with the proceedings, decided to go to state courts because they saw something similar. And when Poland joined European Union, Beata, which year?
14 years ago.
14 years ago. It could be the case that because Poland joined European Union and you don't have an issue with enforcement of state court decisions anymore when you're a member of EU. So you don't go for arbitration, because very often you go for arbitration because you have New York Convention to enforce arbitral award in other country. And if the state judgment is enforceable within other EU countries, so it might be easy process.
I think you're right. It is connected with this, what I said, that the courts are more efficient. So coming to the courts, it is much more efficient than it was 20 years ago. I don't say that it is much efficient and as arbitration, of course, but this is much more efficient than it was 20 years ago, the system of justice. But what is interesting here, there was a reform of the civil procedure in the Poland code, of the civil procedure code. And what we have noticed is that civil procedure borrowed from arbitration different features.
For example?
For example, the written testimony of the witnesses. For example, CMC and the time schedule. It does not work as good as in arbitration because it's a new provision, but that was simply taken from our arbitration practices. Can you imagine? So we have contributed even, to the system of justice in Poland. We as an arbitration community. Now I would like to add chocolate.
Yes.
So let me make a little break. So I said in my recipe that this is about, there is about 3 spoons, let's say. Let's see how does it work. So I put chocolate, but it can be cocoa as well, okay? So now I will be melting this again. So now we can chop, I will be melting more.
Okay. I have got a comment from Violeta about the numbers we presented, and she said that she is sitting as arbitrator in case number 146/19 at the Court of Arbitration, the Polish Chamber of Commerce. Well, what I can say, this is the information we've got about numbers we've got from public sources, and I couldn't tell for myself whether they're good or not. But what I noticed, Beata, it's a question to you. When we are preparing to this webinar, it's very difficult to find statistics of many Central and Eastern European institutions on their websites. While if you go to ICC, LCA, SIAC, all information, all statistics is available, number of cases, number of parties, nationality of arbitrators, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, institutions from Central and Eastern Europe, they are not all of them are publishing statistics, and if they publish, it's pretty, how would say, fragmental. You cannot have a full picture.
First, I think I will add another spoon, okay, because I think that the color is not what I like. It means this is too light. And what I would say, I think that, in our countries, like example of Poland, there is still some resistance, to bigger transparency. Transparency was always, the problem, in arbitration. And as you remember how big you were by yourself, member of the court, how big jump has been done during last 3 years in ICC in terms of transparency. Many things were not really disclosed. People didn't know really how does it work. All this thing, this arbitration kitchen in ICC, that was not transparent at all for the users. I think that it was gradually changed, and ICC made, I think, the biggest step forward in its transparency procedures, including, justification for the challenges, giving justifications, the publication of the awards. This what was so much, it was so much controversial, yes, whether to publish or not. I'm talking about this information which is included in the notes to the parties and to the arbitrators. So we see that transparency has become, you know, something like a value and the feature of the modern arbitration. I think that still in Polish institutions, there is still some resistance, you know, of doing this. I remember when I was yet president of Lewiatan, I proposed to my colleagues that let's publish, and that was much ahead of publishing by ICC, names of the arbitrators. Who is the arbitrator? We don't have to say in what cases, exactly as it was done later on in ICC by Alexei. So I thought that this will show what people appear and how many times, you know, and whether this is some, you know, variety of the arbitrators or these are all the same person, because that is one of the problems of the critics, yeah, of the arbitration. That this is a very small group of people and everything is really done among themselves. So I think this is the problem, and I think it will be in a way overcome in the future, because you cannot, because life goes in this direction. So the other thing is that if your number of cases is declining, yeah, you are not very eager, you know, to demonstrate that, yes, to everybody, because there is nothing. The institutions do not want really to publish such statistics. However, this is not well. I think it doesn't really show what the institution is. I think it shows much more, you know, the state of the arbitration as such. Yeah.
Yeah. And coming back to Lewiatan, you said that Lewiatan was created in 2005.
2005.
Yeah. And if you look into statistics, you see here blue lines with number of cases. Although number decreased a little bit in recent years, but still in whatever 5-7 years, Lewiatan became known in Polish market. And I remember when I talked to Global Arbitration Review, and they were publishing their white book on arbitration, and they asked me which arbitration institution I could name, new arbitration institution I could name, apart from traditional chambers of commerce in Central Eastern Europe. Frankly speaking, the only institution which came to my mind was Lewiatan Arbitration Court.
Mm-hmm. So we were very visible outside. From the beginning, I have made very big emphasis on our relations with the other institutions, and I thought that would be helpful for us and for them. We had a lot of events together. You remember that time, because we were also, you know, working together. So I thought that this is fantastic, you know, in arbitration, that we can be competitors and we can, you know, friendly cooperate on the other hand. So I think that we were visible because we were trying also to introduce like better, new, modern standards into arbitration, and we were publishing this a lot, promoting this a lot in Poland.
So when you're telling about modern standards in international arbitration, what are the standards? How you describe your difference than many other institutions?
Well, I don't say that this is different standards than the other institutions. I can say, you know, what is there's no ideal, but I think that there are simple, you know, premises which must be fulfilled in arbitration. That it must be fast, not too fast. That it must be predictable. I think that predictability is one of the most important features of arbitration. Is that I think that for business, knowing, you know, when certain steps of the arbitration of the proceedings will appear, I think that this is one of the best features for the business. Well, of course, you know, cost, it is always, you know, everywhere in all of the statistics, all of the opinions, it is underlined that the cost, yes, that arbitration is too costly and it is too time consuming. I think that with this time consuming, my feeling is that for the last few years, in my surrounding, you know, I don't, well, I'm no more, you know, the president of the Lewiatan, so I really don't know what are right now the length of the proceedings. When I was there, it was less than 6 months, you know, in average for one single proceeding. So I think it is quite good timing. But I think that now, when I'm looking at it around, and in ICC and in Kalisz arbitrations, I think that has changed. Of course, still we see, you know, the arbitrations which are really not well managed, but in aggregate, I would say that it has improved much. So timing, I cannot really speak about cost, because when we speak about ICC, everybody says that it is costly as compared to the local institutions like KIK or Lewiatan. But you know, I think that when we compare the court fees, you know, when we compare with the fees of the counsels to the parties, you know, still, you know, this is not something what could be, you know, detrimental to the arbitration. This is what I think. Yeah.
Yeah. How was your cream?
Yeah, this is what I wanted to say, that we are ready right now to put topping on the pastry. So again, you see, okay. Here I have my pastry cooked. Yes, and now I will be, there you can see, I will be filling this Mazurek.
It looks very delicious.
Yes, it is, unfortunately. It will cover. Okay. Now it looks like this. Can you see it? No.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So now we have to wait until it is cold, but we will not probably wait until so long. But we have to wait until it is cold, a little colder, and then we can make some decoration. You know, the decoration is up to you. It is very often, which is done, what it is in the recipe, that you take almonds, but you know, which are without the skins, what I say here, but in the village, they don't have such, you know, almonds which are striped. So we usually will use almonds and these orange stripes, which are put into sugar. By the way, this is very arbitration thing, you know, because when you go to Russian arbitration days, it is around Christmas, and well, I was 2 times, and 2 times I got such a pack, you know, of this orange skin stripes, and they are delicious. So we can, you know, combine, you know, Christmas with with Easter in this way. So anyway, okay. Then we wait a little bit until it is a little bit stable, more stable, and we can put, you know, our almonds to be as a decoration. Okay,
Beata, while we are making this decoration, coming back to Lewiatan and predictability, yeah. I saw in the rules of Lewiatan arbitration code that you have kind of appeal procedure.
Yes, yes, this is still my work.
Okay, so the parties could agree that the award issued by the tribunal would not be final, and either party could appeal it to special panel, right?
Yes, I will tell you what is the story about it. Yes. We are quite exceptional. It is not the only one, because in AAA you have the same procedures. It means,
I believe we have in sport arbitration as well.
Yes, it is. And you have second instance in all of these commodity arbitrations, like steel, corn, you know, cocoa, and so on. That was subsequent to certain case. It appeared that we had a user, the entity, which had in their like pro forma contract their arbitration clause, and in this arbitration clause, it was stated that there was our regular arbitration clause, like class A, but at the end it was said according, so all disputes arising out of this contract will be settled by the arbitration before Lewiatan Court of Arbitration, comma, securing the two instances procedures. So we were, faced, for me that was quite one of the most difficult tasks as a president, what to do with it, because we received a number of cases, at least 3. And based on the same clause, because it was, multiplied in various contracts. So in 3 different cases, it was there were 3 different tribunals. Each of these tribunal made their decisions in a different way. One, I believe, I don't remember exactly, but I think one rejected, one assumed. The biggest issue was how to do the second, the second instance, because there was no rules, and the first instance cannot design the rules for the second instance, because the second instance is going to judge, the case of the first instance. So we were in the trouble, and then I have decided that that's it. After the 3rd case was registered, I said we have to work out, the second instance procedure in order to secure this type of situation. So this is how we worked out this procedure. We were looking around where this procedure really works. And I think that the closest is this AAA, because the commodity procedures, the commodity arbitration, is not exactly this, because the second instance in commodity arbitrations comes out from the different basis, because there is a closed, short, closed end list of arbitrators. So here just a few arbitrators, and it is circling around those arbitrators. So that was a completely different feature. So we were looking at AAA.
And how often this procedure is in use?
And this is the most interesting question, because after we finished the procedure, no other case has flown in. I don't know how this works now, but that was really disappointing, I would say.
Okay, but at least it gave some, and still gives some confidence to users that if they go to Lewiatan and they're happy with their award, they still appeal.
Yes,
okay.
They can be serviced properly.
Yeah, we've got a question from Lilia Klachenka. Do the Polish users commonly use the standard arbitration clause?
Yes, rather yes. They are not very inventive. And I must say that in all of the conferences, what we are having in Parliament, we are trying to convince people, don't really try to make it better, unless you really know what you are doing. For example, recently, I had a case in which the arbitration clause, that was the Polish parties, and it is the regular clause says all disputes arising out of or in connection with, and for nobody knows what reason, in this clause was missing this in connection with. And one of the claims which was raised in this arbitration, it was the tort, the claim in tort. And that there was a discussion between the parties whether this particular phrase has any meaning, that it was deleted for purpose or not for purpose. So you see, this is very clear, very recent example that it's better not to, cook, not to cook is okay, cook is okay, especially in the arbitration kitchen of Vladimir, but not mix too much in this in standard clauses.
Yeah. So show us what you did, what you've done with Mazurek. Is it ready already?
Yeah, I did something like this. I cannot really show it too much. I was trying to make something, So, but you made me busy with the discussion, so I was not very much, putting attention to this. It looks like this. Can you see it? It's a flower.
It's nice. Okay, so you put it for how many minutes before you could eat?
Before I eat it?
Yes.
No, it has to be cold. So I think it will take another 40 minutes.
Okay. We have more questions again from Lilia Klachenka.
our active participant.
Is it a classic way how to decorate with almond, or is there any alternatives how to decorate?
I think there is as many alternatives as many people prepare Mazurek. You know, this is our own invention. I was just I was really not thinking about this what I was doing because I was talking to you, so that was a little bit mechanical. You know, if I didn't talk to you, probably I will try to do something very special using different ingredients here, what you can have, you know, around in your kitchen. But that was something what I could do, not losing conversation with you.
Okay, Beata, I believe we are running a little bit out of time because we normally try to squeeze in 1 hour. It was very interesting talk about Lewiatan, Court of Arbitration, arbitration generally, and I was amazed about your cooking abilities, and I promise you that I'll make next time Mazurek, and I'll send you a photo. And I hope that soon we will see each other in person. Before we finish, I want to say a couple of words about current situation, because we are normally displaying, wait a second, yes, we are displaying special fund information to help fight coronavirus. This is World Health Organization. So of course you're not obliged, but if you want to assist World Health Organization in fighting this virus, you could donate some funds to it. And also, of course, you could donate to Gessel Foundation to support modern art. And maybe, as we discussed before, your foundation will get some modern art objects from Alexei Moore, who is.
That was very good suggestion.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yes. The interview was taken by Vladimir Khvaley. I'm the chairman of the board of Russian Arbitration Association and partner of Baker McKenzie. You could see this webinar on YouTube as well as many other webinars. On Monday, as I said, we will be cooking dolma with our colleagues from Egypt, Cairo Regional International Arbitration Center. So now I have to close our webinar, and good appetite. Beata, bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, bye.